This is the true story of Greyfriars Kirkyard, a place where the dead don't rest quietly, where mist hangs heavy over moss-covered gravestones, shrouding Edinburgh's haunting Gothic skyline in an ethereal glow. You can almost hear the whispers of restless spirits dancing on the wind. But there's one grave that holds a particularly chilling tale. And if you listen closely, you might just hear the echoes of their tormented souls calling out for vengeance. The year is 1660, and the Scottish people are in turmoil. The country is divided between those who support the king's rule and those who want more religious freedom. But when the king ignores their pleas for a say in how they worship, tensions boil over. This is the time known as the Second Scottish War of Independence. On one side are the Scottish nobles and government officials loyal to the king, and on the other side are the Covenanters, Scottish Presbyterians who want to worship freely and are willing to fight for their rights. Caught in the middle is Sir George Mackenzie. He is a powerful lawyer and judge who finds himself torn between his duty to the crown and his conscience. As the war rages, Mackenzie is appointed to hunt down and persecute the Covenanters, branding them as traitors and rebels. And he carries out his orders with ruthless efficiency. Hundreds are sent to prison, tortured and killed, and Mackenzie earns the nickname Bluidy Mackenzie, which means bloody. But as he sends more and more people to their deaths, he begins to question whether he's on the right side of history. After all, is it right to kill people for their beliefs? Or will he be remembered as a tyrant who crushed an entire religion just to keep his power? But no matter what he decides, Mackenzie knows that his actions have consequences. And as the war comes to an end, he must face the repercussions of his choices. With his own life at risk, Mackenzie flees to Edinburgh and hides in a church called Greyfriars Kirk. There he stays until the coast is clear, hoping that the turmoil will pass and he can get back to his life. But he never gets that chance. Instead, he's caught and imprisoned, then sentenced to death. As Mackenzie is led to the gallows, he looks around for someone to blame for his fate. But he knows it's his own fault. He's been nothing but ruthless and cruel throughout the war, and he deserves whatever punishment comes his way. As the noose is placed around his neck, Mackenzie realizes that there's no one else to blame. It's his own fault that he's here, and everything goes black. In the days that follow, Mackenzie's body is embalmed and prepared for burial. Then he's taken to Greyfriars Kirkyard and lowered into the ground. At first, the townspeople want to forget about him. They don't want to remember the man who was responsible for so much death and destruction. But as the years go by, they start to whisper about Mackenzie's restless spirit haunting the graveyard. For over 300 years, Mackenzie's tomb sits undisturbed, hidden among the gravestones. No one dares approach it, not wanting to disturb whatever evil might be lurking inside. But then in 1998, something happens that changes everything. A homeless man named John Bestloot breaks into the mausoleum, seeking shelter from the harsh Scottish winter. But while he's exploring the dark and dank stone chambers, the floor gives way beneath him, and he falls through into a deep pit. When John climbs out of the hole, he's covered in dirt and grime and something else, something sinister. The air around him is thick with the smell of decay and death. John soon discovers that the pit is filled with the remains of plague victims from the 1600s. And as he makes his way back up to the surface, he can't shake the feeling that he's being watched. From that day forward, strange things start to happen in and around Mackenzie's tomb. People report seeing shadowy figures lurking at the edge of their vision. And when they turn to get a closer look, the figures vanish. Others feel a sudden drop in temperature, as if a cold wind has just swept through the graveyard. And still others swear they can hear the sound of footsteps echoing around them, even though there's no one else in sight. Then there are the physical attacks. People who enter the graveyard claim they're scratched, bitten, or even choked by unseen hands. Some say they've been pushed or shoved, while others have witnessed entire paranormal tours get mysteriously shut down due to safety concerns. One woman even claims that she was struck by lightning while standing next to Mackenzie's tomb. Despite the danger, people keep returning to Greyfriars, desperate to see the tomb with their own eyes and experience the paranormal activity for themselves. As the years go by, the stories only grow more intense. Some say that the homeless man who stumbled into the plague pit was cursed, and that's when the hauntings began. Others believe that Mackenzie's restless spirit is simply angry about being disturbed and wants to drive everyone away from his final resting place. But no one knows for sure. That is until one day when a group of paranormal investigators decides to spend the night in Mackenzie's tomb. As the sun sets and darkness falls, the team sets up their equipment and prepares to monitor any paranormal activity. They know that they're in for a long night, but they're not prepared for what's about to come. As the hours pass, the team begins to experience strange and frightening things. One investigator claims to see a ghostly figure standing over them, while another swears that they heard Mackenzie's voice whispering their name. Some say they felt suffocating, as if someone were trying to smother them in their sleep. Others were scratched, bitten, or even choked, all by an invisible force. But the scariest part is yet to come. As dawn approaches, the investigators begin to faint one by one, and they don't wake up until the next day. When they finally come to, they find themselves lying on the floor, weak and disoriented. But they soon realize that something else is wrong. Their bodies are covered in strange markings, cuts, bruises, and burns that couldn't have been inflicted by anything in this world. They had been attacked by the Mackenzie Poltergeist. Now, word of the investigation spreads and paranormal tours return to Greyfriars in full force. But these aren't the light-hearted, fun-filled tours of the past. Instead, they're solemn affairs with guides who warn their clients to be on their best behavior. One guide even warns that if anyone tries to take a souvenir from the cemetery, they should expect to be violently haunted for the rest of their lives. And it seems like they were right to warn them, because since then, countless people have come forward with stories of their own encounters with the Mackenzie Poltergeist. Some say they were simply passing through Edinburgh and stopped to pay their respects at the historic graveyard. But before long, they found themselves caught in the crosshairs of an angry spirit. Others say they were warned not to visit the graveyard, but they didn't listen, and they paid the price. No matter what brought them to Greyfriars, each person had the same experience. They felt suffocating, as if a heavy blanket had been thrown over their head. They saw shadowy figures lurking at the edge of their vision. And when they turned to get a closer look, the figures vanished. They heard whispers, footsteps, and screams, even though there was no one else around them. They felt scratches, bites, and cuts, as if they were being attacked by an invisible assailant. And some even claimed to be choked or hit by unseen forces. It's hard to say exactly how many people have had negative experiences at Greyfriars, but the stories are so consistent that it's clear something strange is going on here. Some skeptics suggest that the hauntings are the result of psychological suggestion. After all, people know that Greyfriars is a haunted graveyard, and they go there expecting to see something. Perhaps that's why they see it. Others point to the uneven ground or hidden gases as potential explanations. But there are too many first-hand accounts of injury to ignore. Cuts, bruises, and burns that can't be explained by anything other than paranormal activity. The sheer number of similar reports makes Greyfriars stand out from most purportedly haunted places. Now, if you ask any local resident or paranormal investigator, they'll tell you the same thing. Greyfriars is one of the most haunted places on Earth, and the Mackenzie Poltergeist is one of the most violent and unpredictable ghosts you'll ever encounter. So if you're planning a trip to Edinburgh, be careful where you go. If you happen to stumble into Greyfriars Kirkyard, be prepared for anything. You never know what you might see or experience there. After all, the castle is considered the most haunted place in the world for a reason. Sir George Mackenzie once tormented the living, but centuries after his death, It seems his cruelty has only grown stronger, and those who dare to enter his domain risk becoming his next victims.